Okay, so today we're going to do a tutorial on how to install the Ricoh copy machine, the printer down in the front office for any churches on the Faith Tabernacle Wi-Fi network. So the first thing that you've got to do is on your computer, open up your web browser and go to www.ricoh, that's R-I-C-O-H dash USA.com. And that'll bring up the Ricoh website, and you can see down here about in the middle there's a downloads section. Click on downloads and it'll take you to a place where we can choose what we want to download. And so here where it says select category, subcategory, and model below, in the category we're going to choose multifunction color. And after that we select the subcategory and we're going to do general office. And in the model we go to Officio MP C5502. That was Officio MP C5502, and it should bring up or excuse me, that was MPC 5501. MPC 5501, and it brings up a picture of our copy machine, and it looks pretty similar to the one we've got at Faith Tabernacle. And then right next to it, we've got a manual, drivers, and a brochure. So under drivers we've got this Officio MP C5501, not the top one, the second one. Go ahead and click on that and it takes you to a license agreement, and click I agree off to the right here. And it takes you to a place where you choose what operating system you have. And so this, you've got to pay attention whether you're on Windows 8, Windows 8 64-bit, which most of them will be, Windows 7, Windows 7 64-bit, Vista, Vista 64-bit, XP, XP 64-bit. So you've just got to know what operating system you're on. I'm on Windows Vista on my machine, so I'm going to go ahead and choose Windows Vista. And then what I'm going to do is choose the PCL6 driver. It should just be the very top one in whatever operating system you chose. And right under the download column, you've got a little download button that you can click there. And you can see down here, it's going to take a minute as it downloads the driver. So while that's downloading, I can go ahead and start the install process for the printer on the computer. And so what I'm going to do is hit my start button, and I've got mine off to the side. Most of you will have it in the bottom. But hit the start button and go to my control panel. And your control panel is going to look a little bit different depending on what operating system you're in. It might look something like this, or it might look like this. If you're on XP, it probably looks like this. If you're on Vista or higher, it probably looks like this. But either way, you should find one that looks like a printer. You can see here on this one, I have under hardware and sound, I have printer, or in the classic view, if I scroll down a little bit, I can see printers. It's just in alphabetical order. So either one, I click on it and it's going to take me to this sort of a screen. And towards the top, I've got a button that says Add a Printer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it brings up this Add a Printer dialog. And so we've got two selections. We've got Add a Local Printer and Add a Network, Wireless, or Bluetooth Printer. And even though our printer is on the network, the way that we go about this is adding it as a local printer. So you click that, and then it asks you to choose a printer port. And so, like generally, you know, if you're on if you're doing a USB printer or something like that, it'll be under here. But we're going to create a new port. And under there we choose standard TCP IP port, and this is important that you have this right. Create a new port, and the type of port is a standard TCP IP port, and click next. And under device type, we can just leave it on auto detect, but for the host name or IP address we're going to choose 192. We're going to type this in 192.168.2.102, and that's the IP address of the printer that we have on our network. It's connected through Wi-Fi, and that's its IP address, 192.168.2.102. and yours probably won't have this _3 next to it. That's just because I've installed the printer multiple times. And then just make sure this, you can have this check marked or not, it doesn't matter, and hit next. And it's going to do this contacting printer sort of thing. And while it's doing that, I'm going to go back to my web browser here, and you can see the driver is finished downloading. It's this Z51802L11.exe, and yours might be a little bit different depending on your operating system, but I'm going to go ahead and click on that and hit run. And you can see here it's got this driver install sort of thing, and I just hit next all the way through this. I accept the agreement and extract to folder. I can hit browse here and just choose a place on my hard drive. Easiest place is to just choose the local disk C and hit OK. And this shows you where it's going to install the driver, and you want to pay attention to where this is because you're going to have to find it again later. So in mine it's just C:\Z51802. So you might want to just write this down if it's not very simple so that you can remember where it's at. And I hit next, and it says extraction complete. I hit OK, and so now the driver is on my computer. Now I've just got to tell the computer where it's at. So I left this contacting the printer sort of thing running, and this is where it stopped. It's asking what kind of printer it is, and so I can just click on this have disk button here, and when I click that, it brings up this install from disk dialog, and I'm going to click browse in the bottom right hand corner here. And here's where what you wrote down earlier comes in handy. So for me, I'm just going to choose my computer, and I installed it right inside the C drive, and then I look for that folder Z51802L11. Again, yours might look a little bit different, but I'm going to double click on that in order to open it up, and then you should have a disk 1 folder. Double click on that to get it open, and then as soon as you get into here, there should be the file name should show up in here, OEM setup. I think it's the same on all the operating systems. But as soon as that shows up in here, you just hit open, and then you've got this copy manufacturer's files from, and it should give you sort of the same path that you had written down before with a disk 1 on the end. And hit OK, and then it's going to show you this Gessnetner MPC4501 PCL6, and you can just leave it on that and hit next. And then it's got which version of the driver do you want to use. Windows detected that a driver is already installed for this printer. You probably won't get this unless you've installed the printer multiple times. So I'm just going to choose replace the current driver. Then it asks for a printer name, and you can set it as your default printer if you want or not, depending on this is just when you hit file and print, what printer do you want it to come up with first. If you want it to be this printer, then set it as the default. If you want it to be a printer that's actually hooked up to your computer, then take the check mark out of this. So I'm going to just set it as my default, hit next, and it goes through this installing printer. And then it asks me if I want to share this printer. Just put it on do not share this printer. It's already on the network, so we don't need to share it from your computer as well. Hit next, and then I can print a test page if I want. That's a good idea if you're not sure if it worked. So if you hit this print a test page, then you should go and check the printer, and there should be a test page sitting there on it for you. And just hit finish, and that's all there is to it. Then when you try to print something, like if I just hit Control P, then it's going to, I've got this Ricoh Officio, and I can hit change and choose what printer I want, and it'll probably be this Gessnetner MPC4501. So it should just work from here on out. You can print like you normally do from inside of any program, and that's how you install the Ricoh copy machine at Faith Tabernacle on the Faith Tabernacle website, Wi-Fi.